Greetings of the day to all my dear students. The thought for the day is education is not preparation for life. Education is life itself. This is Shreya Jadhav welcoming you all to my e-learning channel. And today we are going to do English grade 9 chapter 9 The Bond of Love, written by Kenneth Anderson. So before starting with the reading and explanation of the chapter, let us know something about the author. Kenneth Anderson was born on 8th March 1910. He was an Indian-born British writer and hunter. He wrote books about his adventures in the jungles of South India. Anderson went to Bishop Cotton Boys' School and studied at St. Joseph's College, Bangalore. He was employed by British Art Effect Factory in Bangalore in the rank of factory manager for planning. His love for inhabitants of the Indian jungle led him to big game hunting and to writing real-life adventurous stories. He often went into the jungle alone and unarmed to meditate and enjoy the beauty of untouched nature. As a hunter, he tracked down man-eating tigers and leopards. Anderson's style of writing is descriptive, as he talks about his adventure with wild animals. While most stories are about hunting tigers and leopards, particularly man-eaters, he includes chapter of his first and encounters with elephant, bison and bears. He gives insight into the people of the Indian jungles of his time. His books delve into the habits of jungle tribes, their survival skills and their day-to-day lives. So moving forward, let us have a look into introduction for answers. So dear students, always keep this in mind that whenever you write your question answers, always start with introduction. This creates a really good impact. So here it is. Prose name, The Bond of Love. Author's name, Kenneth Anderson. Genre, short story. Summary. This is a story of love and friendship between animal and a human being. So moving forward, let us have a quick summary. This is the story of love and friendship between an animal and a human being. Really, it is true that love has no proper language. Everybody can understand it and love others. Even animals and birds understand the language of love. If we love them, they will love us in return. Therefore, love is mutual. One day, the author and his friends were passing through the sugarcane fields near Mysore, where people were driving away the wild pigs from the fields by shouting at them. Unluckily, one of the companions of the author shot a bear. Then they found that the baby bear was also riding the bear that was killed by them. The author brought it to Bangalore and gave it to his wife. She was delighted on getting it. She named it Bruno as the cub was a boy. Bruno soon took to drinking milk from a bottle and started eating everything. One day, an ancient befell on him. The bear entered the library and ate some poison that had been put there for rats. The poison paralyzed the bear, but somehow he dragged himself to Author's wife. Bruno was rushed to an animal clinic and was saved. Another time, Bruno drank 1 gallon of old engine oil, but it had no ill effect whatever. Slowly and gradually, Bruno equaled the Altessians in height and had even outgrown them. Then Author's wife changed his name Baba. Baba had now learnt many tricks, and now he was in chains most of the time. The author and his son advised the author's wife to give Baba to the zoo at Mysore. The zoo sent a cage from Mysore in a lorry, and Baba was packed off. Baba and author's wife both felt very sad after it. Both were undergoing departing grief. The author took his wife to Mysore so that she could meet Baba in the zoo. When Baba saw her, he started dancing and stood on his head in delight. For next 3 hours, she would not leave that cage. She gave him tea, cakes, ice cream, etc. When the closing time came, both started crying bitterly. The author's wife asked the curator, "May I have my Baba back?" And luckily he agreed somehow. Author's wife brought her Baba back to her home and kept him in a special place in home. Now both the bear and the author's wife were happy. So, dear students, this is all about the summary of the chapter, The Bond of Love. So, now let us proceed ahead with the explanation and reading of the same. Chapter 9, The Bond of Love. Before you read, can there be love and friendship between human beings and wild animals? Let's read a fascinating account of an orphaned sloth bear that was rescued by the author. Sloth bears inhabit forested areas including the tropical rainforests of India and grasslands at lower elevations. Sloth bears have very shaggy hair and long muzzles. Using their claws to dig, they can then use their lips to form a tube which can go deep into the ground or into hard to reach areas like dead trees for their food. The main food is termites. You can hear them suck up their food from several feet away. I will begin with Bruno, my wife's pet sloth bear. I got him for her by accident. 2 years ago, we were passing through the sugarcane fields near Mysore. People were driving away the wild pigs from the fields by shooting at them. Some were shot and some escaped. We thought that everything was over when suddenly a black sloth bear came out panting in the hot sun. So now the writer is initiating that he would start up with the introduction of Bruno, Bruno was his wife pet sloth bear, and he found the bear by an accident. This incident was 2 years ago when they were passing through the sugarcane fields near Mysore. The people were driving away the pigs, and one of the members shot the bear. And suddenly, the people thought that everything was over there. But at that time duration, there came a black sloth bear who was panting in the hot sun. Now I will not shoot a sloth bear wantonly, but unfortunately for the poor beast, one of my companions did not feel that way about it and promptly shot the bear on the spot. So now eventually what happened after looking it, the writer's feelings was that there was no good reason for killing the bear. But unfortunately, one of his companions, friend who was along with them traveling for the hunting purpose in Mysore, he didn't think in that mannerism and he shot the bear on the spot. As he watched the fallen animal, we were surprised to see that the black fur on its back moved and left the prostrate body. Then we saw it was a baby bear that had been riding on its mother's back when the sudden shot had killed her. The little creature ran around its prostrate parent, making a pitiful noise. So, eventually, now what happened? That when the author's companion or his friend uh, killed the bear on the spot over there, they saw that the animal was fallen, lying down over there. But to their surprise, there was a black fur which was moving on the back, and that was a small black baby bear. And they saw that this little one was riding on its mother's back, and as this no sudden shot had killed the mother, the little creature was now no continuously moving around the dead body of the mother, and the baby was making a pitiful noise. We can consider it as a cry. I ran up to it to attempt a creature. I scotted into the sugarcane field. Following it with my companions, I was at last able to grab it by the scuff of its neck while it snapped and tried to snatch me with its long hooked claws. So now eventually what happened? Now the author didn't had that no bad intentions of killing that baby bear or even the mother bear. So he just went to catch the creature, but eventually the baby bear ran. Moreover to that, they scotted means they ran into the sugarcane field, and at last they were able to get him, but there were some scratches made by his long hooked claws, because even that baby bear thought that they would kill him also. We put it in one of the gunny bags we had brought, and when I got back to Bangalore, I dully presented it to my wife. She was delighted. She at once put a colored ribbon around its neck, and after discovering the cub was a boy, she christened it Bruno. So now the companions and the author, they have bought one of the gunny bags, and uh, this small little bear was put up in it. He was being brought to Bangalore, and the author no dully presented it to his wife. She was very happy to receive it, and at once she put a red ribbon around his neck. And after discovering that the cub was a boy, she christened it, means she named it as Bruno. Bruno soon took to drinking milk from a bottle. It was but a step farther, and within a very few days he started eating and drinking everything else. And everything is a right word, for he ate porridge made from any ingredients, vegetables, fruit, nuts, meat, especially pork, curry, and rice, regardless of condiments and chilies, breads, eggs, chocolates, sweets, pudding, ice cream, etc., etc., etc. As for drink, milk, tea, coffee, lime juice, aerated water, buttermilk, beer, alcoholic liquor, and in fact anything liquid. It all went down with relish. So now Bruno's no very easily took up to drinking milk from bottle, and within few days or within few weeks he started eating and drinking everything. Now everything includes all sort of things whatever human beings used to eat and drink, and he was so comfortable with it. Yes, whether it is liquor or tea, coffee, lime juice, buttermilk, anything would work. Even rice, curry, meat, vegetables, he would eat every single thing which was given to him. The bear became very attached to our two Altesian dogs and to all the children of the tenants living in our bungalow. He was left quite free in his younger days and spent his time in playing, running into the kitchen, and going to sleep in our beds. So now the bear was very much attached to all the children and the dogs, and all the no, he was really very free, means wherever he used to move it was okay to both the author and his wife. Moreover to that, he usually spent more time in playing and running into the kitchen, and even the bear used to sleep with the author and his wife. One day an accident befell him. I put down poison to kill the rats and mice that had got into my library. Bruno entered the library as he often did, and he ate some of the poison. Paralysis set in to the extent that he could not stand on his feet, but he dragged himself on its stumps to my wife, who called me. I guessed what had happened. Off I rushed in the car of the vet's residence. A case of poisoning, tame bear, barium carbonate. What to do? So what happened? One small accident which happened with Bruno, and that was that the author put some sort of poison to kill rats and mice that he kept in library. And Bruno also had a habit of moving into the library and searching for all sort of stuff, and he ate that some portion of poison he ate, and that led him to paralysis. Now, eventually, he could not stand on his feet, but somehow he dragged himself on his stumps to the author's wife, and the author's wife called the author for the help. And immediately, he just thought that what eventually might have happened, And then he rushed in the car to vet's resident, and he said that this is a case of poisoning a tame bear and he might have eaten the barium carbonate. What was the further treatment to be done? Out came his medical books, and feverish reference to index began. What poison did you say, sir? Barium carbonate? Ah, yes, barium salts. Ah, barium carbonate. Symptoms: paralysis, treatment, injections of. Just a minute, sir. I'll bring my syringe and the medicine. Dash back to the car. Bruno still floundering about on his stumps, but clearly weakening rapidly. Some vomiting, heavy breathing, and heavy flanks and gasping mouth. So now eventually what happened, that vet doctor just took out his medical books and he no searched for the references that what sort of no poison he had, that and that was barium carbonate, and the symptoms were paralysis. The treatment was some sort of injections and medicines were supposed to be given. And no, very fast the narrator went to Bruno, who was still struggling on his stems. He was trying to keep himself, but rapidly he was weakening, some sort of vomiting and heavy breathing, and it was very difficult situation at that time duration. Hold him, everybody. It goes the hypodermic. Bruno squeals. 10 cc of the antidote enters his system without a drop being wasted. 10 minutes later, condition unchanged. Another 10 cc injected. 10 minutes later, breathing less stertorous. Bruno can move his arms and legs a little, although he cannot stand yet. 30 minutes later, Bruno gets up and has a great feed. He looks at us disdainfully, as much as to say, "What's barium carbonate to a big black bear like me?" Bruno is still eating. So now eventually what happened, the doctor just gave instruction to hold him, and he just injected the 10 cc of antidote which enters into his system, but no changes had taken place. And moreover to that, another 10 cc was injected. After that, the breathing was less, to be said, no noisy and snoring sort of breathing was less, but still it was very difficult at that time duration to know, um, for him to stand up. So after 30 minutes, Bruno got up and he no had his feed. Means he ate it, and he looked like, no, what is that small portion of that poison is going to do to this big black bear like Bruno. Another time he found nearly 1 gallon of old engine oil which I had drained from the sump of the stud baker and was keeping as a weapon against the inroads of termites. He promptly drank the lot, but it had no ill effects whatever. So now eventually what happened, that one more incident which took place, and that was that nearly 1 gallon of old engine oil was put over there, and no, Bruno just drank it plenty in proportion, but it showed no ill effects on it, thankfully. The months rolled on, and Bruno had grown many times the size he was when he came. He had equaled the Alsatians in height and had even outgrown them, but was just as sweet, just as mischievous, just as playful, and he was very fond of us all. Above all, he loved my wife, and she loved him too. She had changed his name from Bruno to Baba, a Hindustani word signifying small boy. And he would do a few tricks too. At the command Baba whistle or Baba box, he vigorously tackled anyone who came forward for a rough and tumble. Give him a stick and say, Baba, hold gun. And he pointed the stick at you. Ask him, Baba, where's baby? And he immediately produced and cradled affectionately a stump of wood which he had carefully concealed in his straw bed. But because of the tenant's children, poor Bruno or Baba had to be kept chained most of the time. So now, eventually, what happened that as the time passed on, um, Bruno was growing rapidly, and now it was double its size. Because of this thing, he was supposed to be chained up, but still, he was still that mischievous, that funny, that playful. And now the narrator's wife had changed the name from Bruno to Baba, which we say for a little boy. And no, he would follow some of the commands which were given by the narrator's wife to know to point the gun with the stick, or even to when they were asked that no where the baby was at that time, he would go to his bed and he would get a small stick which he had concealed it, and he would bring it. But because of this thing, most of the time Bruno or Baba had to be kept chained up because of tenant's children, because now Bruno was getting double in the size. He was growing very quickly. So, dear students, today we are keeping it till here. I hope that you all have understood the chapter till here. Thank you for watching and have a great day, everyone. If you still find any doubt or queries, you can comment down in the comment section below.